Alrighty, and I'm back in the lab, finally. After finishing exams, the lab's a mess, but that's alright. I'm happy to be back. Alright, this is trinitromethane part 2, because when we left, we got a yield of about 1%. So in there is the leftover sulfuric, nitric, and trinitromethane mixture that we tried to extract with DCM and got a very low yield out of. And as you can see, it's pretty yellow, and that's really only due to the trinitromethane, I believe. I haven't seen that colour before in any sort of nitric acid, sulfuric acid mixtures. So what are we doing? Well, this is the more dangerous way because, well, we're making an explosive and I didn't really want to distill it. So we tried the safe way earlier with the DCM extraction. Didn't work, so we're going to try the more dangerous way, and we're just hoping it doesn't blow up. It really shouldn't blow up, but yeah. So firstly, what's going to distill off is any organics left over, any isopropanol, any acetone. They'll have lowish boiling points, they're going to boil off. And then hopefully we'll get the nitric acid water azeotrope because I believe the reason it didn't work well last time, the extraction didn't work well with DCM, is because there's just too much water in this mixture. Because the trinitromethane is reasonably soluble in the water, it's quite hard to extract from water with DCM. So if we remove the water here through the boiling off the azeotrope with nitric acid and water, we'll get our nitric acid back, which is a good win, because we need that. Even if it's a lower concentration than, you know, red fuming, that's fine, it's still very useful. And then hopefully that should pull all the water out, and then we can maybe extract again without the water in there, and the extraction should work much, much better. Other things to look out for, well, I believe there might be some nitromethane. Nitromethane has a boiling point of about 101. It also forms an azeotrope with isopropanol, but I don't think that'll be much of an issue. So while I was doing exams, I had the flask of the acid mixture just stop it and sitting on the bench here. I didn't want to leave it open because I thought acid vapors would just leach out, well, you know, go into the air and ruin the electronics. And I couldn't really leave it outside because it was raining heaps and didn't want to bring it inside. So I left the stopper in. And I was coming out and venting it like every day or so, but I sort of forgot to, and then I found this stopper, you know, on the floor on the other side of the lab. I was really just on the ground, so it probably just popped out and then broke. So we've smashed another bit of glassware, but it's just a stopper and I don't really care. I mean, I could use it like this, but from experience, I'm not going to use it like this because they're very hard to get out. And if they get slightly stuck, then there becomes a real big issue. And it's doing sort of exactly what I hoped it wouldn't do, and that is fill up with nitrogen dioxide, which means there's still probably something reacting or something decomposing, and I don't really like the look of that at all. I really wanted a nice clean flask. Alright, still nothing distilling over, but an increase in fumes, which is once again very annoying. I don't want to have to deal with the fumes again, but it looks like I have to. Oh well. Okay, so I've set up a trap. I should have set up a trap last time, but I never got around to it. This time, yep, so it's just a bit of tubing, a funnel to prevent suckback going into some water, which will absorb the nitrogen dioxide, well, most of it. That tubing will gonna get wrecked pretty quickly. It's a shame I've got some Teflon tubing on the way, which will survive this. And what I got it for, basically, for situations like this where I need to connect two things with a really, you know, corrosive gas like this, because it will destroy this tubing. But for the meantime, it's good enough. Right, we're getting our first distillate over, and we're only at 70 degrees, so I don't know what it is. Hopefully my thermometer is accurate so I can actually proceed with this experiment. It looks very nitric acid-like, but we'll let it go for a little bit longer before we switch over flasks. Okay, so it's been distilling over for the last hour or so, pretty much without changing, but within the last 2 minutes, all of a sudden, it shot up to probably about 90 degrees. It's been sitting at about 80 or so. Jumped 10 degrees. The reaction flask changed colour. It's been sitting at the yellow now. It's this sort of greeny grey, which is a bit different. and it stopped distilling nitric acid and has just been pumping out nitrogen dioxide. So I'm going to stop it now. I mean, it's late anyway, but I don't know what happened. I'm especially annoyed that we've lost the yellow colour in the flask for the first time, which is not a great sign. So during the distillation, as you would have noticed, red fuming nitric acid came over, and that's because the sulfuric acid retained the water. So the nitric acid didn't come over as the azeotrope, but came over just as the anhydrous nitric acid, which I should have guessed should have happened. I think a few of you would have known that was what was going to happen at the start of the video, but yeah, I guess that's why we experiment. So how much nitric acid did I get? Well, I got about 9.6 grams, which the first lot I converted into this weak nitric acid, which is reasonably impure, and because it's probably got some organic contaminants in it, but I can still use that around the lab. I use that quite a bit, and then the other sort of 3/4 of it I just keep as this very fuming nitric acid, and in total we got about 9.6, 9.7 grams, which is about a 15th. No, not 1. It's 15%, which is about 1/7 of the initial nitric acid that we got back. So not very much. So all the rest of it would have been converted into NO2, which is a bit of a shame because we lost a whole heap of nitric acid just to the atmosphere. Now, what do we do now? That's a very good question, because I'm a bit stumped, because this obviously has even more water in it than it did before, like per volume, because we've just taken out the pure nitric acid, so now we're left with sulfuric acid and the water and acetic acid and possibly some trinitromethane. However, it's lost its colour completely. It's just clear. It just looks like normal sulfuric acid solution. So that's a real bummer. I don't know what to do now. If you could, if you're in this situation, what would you do? You know, I read every comment in the comment description. So, do I try and extract with DCM again? I mean, it's not going to work any better, I don't think, than previously. Is there any way I can remove the water? Do I just give up, seeing as it's lost its yellow colour? It probably has no trinitromethane in it, maybe. What are your thoughts? What do I do next? I really don't know. This is not fuming anymore, so I can leave this stoppered, you know, indefinitely. So, until someone comes up with a good idea, or I do. In the meantime, we're left with this viscous yellow oil from my first run. It's yellowy orange now. We'll run some tests on that now. Hey! So the exact nature of our product remains a mystery. First things we know, it's definitely a yellow oil, yellow-orange oil, or it may be possibly a liquid with some sort of solids around it. I'm not sure you can really sort of see it, and I can't really pick it up in the microscope very well. But there's definitely the yellow blobs of oil, but then there's that sort of blurry areas around it, which look like maybe possibly tiny crystals. But I can't really see that under the microscope, so I'm going to assume that it's all just very viscous liquid. You can see it's not flowing, even though the flask is on its side there. It at least contains one flammable component to it. As we saw, it did burst into flames at some point. It is highly acidic, although it doesn't show a violent reaction with aluminium, although it may have some slight reaction with aluminium. And finally, it leaves a char mark after it's burnt. So it obviously contains something with carbon in it that's not burning fully. So if it was 100% trinitromethane, it would be a solid at the temperature because it's below 15 degrees currently. It would burn fast and not leave any remaining char behind. Same goes for nitromethane. It would be a liquid, but it wouldn't leave any char behind and wouldn't be such as acidic. So possibly the only explanation I can come up with is if it's a combination of three things really, one of which is given it the acidity, one of which is causing it to be flammable, and another one which is causing it to leave a char behind. Those three components, for example, may be sulfuric acid, trinitromethane, and oxalic acid, possibly. I'm not really sure what does the charring. So, without more analytical techniques such as UV vis, fucking NMR if I had, obviously. If I worked in a lab I could determine what this is, but I don't. So if you've got any other further tests I could run that would shed more light on the identity of this yellow oil, let me know. It's just going to be hanging around in the lab. So yeah, and let me know of course what you think I should do with this liquid here, the remaining solution that's now clear. Whether I should just do an extraction or I don't know. So in conclusion, we used up quite a large amount of nitric acid to receive 1% of a product that we can't conclusively say is our product, and at the very least is very impure. So yeah, this patent isn't great. If I was to do it again, so say if you told me that this, just cut my losses with this and I should try it again someday, the only thing I would suggest trying is to do an even larger excess of nitric acid. That's probably the only thing I can suggest. And then, yeah, work out a better way of extraction. Anyway, I hope you enjoy. Hope you can leave some feedback about what I should do, or whether you enjoyed watching me attempt to try some science. I've got another highly experimental patent. It's actually not even a patent. It's just 3 sentences I found on a website somewhere that I'm going to try out very soon, hopefully. And that will probably go just as bad as this one, but at least we get to try it and prove it wrong. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.